So wait, I want you to tell these people who you are at home. This is the camera. I want you to tell these people who you are.
StillElectric from Boston. Do you feel that?
StillElectric.
Do you feel that?
StillElectric.
StillElectric. Boston.
How are you feeling today? You got a chance, man. This is going to be a really big thing. First off, you got to look at who you're standing up here with. These are some really good players, but you're a very good player yourself. Are you prepared, if you win, to deal with all these other top competitors in Washington, D.C.?
Absolutely. I'm ecstatic.
Would you say you're electric?
Ooh. I think I'm still electric.
StillElectric.
Nigga, how did you? Woo! Boy!
One win guard.
He called it!
Come on, dog. Come on.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Oh.
This boy just called out, yo!
Oh!
Damn.
Oh, you can't get out of this thing! It's back!
1, 2, 3, don't stand up. Now I'm gonna catch a wing guard too.
No!
Fight back! Fight back!
No, bro, I can just tell. Yeah. I remember that. That was, I think, a Red Bull Conquest event that they had it here in Boston, or Foxborough, I guess. That was Tasty Steve. That was magical. When I first started playing video games, I went by Devil Danny. I was always a Mishima player in Tekken. And I felt like I was due for something new. I felt like Devil Danny was a little childish. And I was kind of coming into gaming a little bit more competitively. I played Mishima, as they're most notably known for doing electrics. And I think at that time, like, I'd finally started getting them consistently. And so I just added the still in front of it. And that's how it came about. So I grew up in Boston. My family migrated from Trinidad and Tobago. So we're islanders. They came here to make a living, raised myself and my sister. And we lived in a few places in the city of Boston, a few towns in Boston. So Mattapan, Dorchester, and then majority of my time was in Hyde Park. I guess, well, I would say typical, but, mom, dad, married, sister, going to school, like, in the city, very, like, Caribbean vibes, and so, obviously good food throughout, nice big meal on, like, Sundays, used to eat good. Not super formal, so it wasn't like, dinner wasn't at 7 p.m. every day, like everyone would eat food in their rooms or whatever, and I would say it was a pretty good dynamic. I have always been, people used to call me like the golden child, right? From like all my siblings and stuff. Like I'd always been like, kind of like I feel like the square in the family, like did the right thing, put my money away when I made it, wanted to get a job when I was like 15 and buy my sneakers and stuff like that. I was always like kind of into fashion, even like at a young age. I was driving a car in high school, like 10th grade, like, so I felt like I was always like the kid who wanted to be like the most responsible, to have my own things. And like later on in life, then wanted to like acquire a bunch of knowledge and just like share it with other people. I think it's important to have like gratitude, because like I was telling you earlier, I just came from a funeral, right? And so like at any moment, things can end. And so like it's important to spread light, and be gracious for the time given on here to, share with others. You really don't know what folks are going through on an everyday basis. And so I try to be like respectful, like in that sense, and think about others and things that they struggle going through. And I would say part of that, then, with gratitude also comes like attitude too. And I think it's important for us to control that as much as like we can. And so I'm always trying to shed some positive light when I can as well around folks who, light might be dim. Big into family. I think that when I was growing up, I spent a lot of time with family, but then also spent a lot of time with friends, and like realized I was spending a little bit too much time with friends and not with family. And so like at this stage in life, like I feel like I've been embracing, time well spent with them more. Not just like mom and dad, but also like, siblings and cousins, and trying to nurture those relationships a little bit more as well. Those are big things, I think, for me. Yeah, there was, the group name is called Brothers on Bikes, and it's in Boston. And to be honest, I actually founded the group with a friend of mine that I grew up with. And it just happened, kind of naturally. It was after the murder of George Floyd, to be honest. And this was like around like pandemic. And, I think as like a person of color, like everyone kind of felt that blow from his death. And I think we were all like yearning for a way to kind of connect with one another. And during the pandemic, it was kind of hard to do that, right? Safely. Without like fear of getting sick or getting COVID and things like that. And so we felt most safe, I think, outside. And a friend of mine, someone I grew up with, who ironically, like his dad and my dad were friends. And they knew each other since like Trinidad and Tobago, And so I grew up with this friend and his two brothers throughout the course of like my childhood. And we reconnected. He's like the CEO of like a bike shop now, and he's been at that bike shop for a long time, and so he advocates for like cycling. And he was riding every Sunday, and I wanted to kind of join him like in that endeavor, and also like catch up and like nurture that relationship again. And so I started riding with him on Sundays, and we just would post about it, and then people would ask like, hey, can I join the next ride on Sunday? And fast forward, like we're a group, and so, two co-founders, we've kind of formed a new name, and it's like a space for Black and brown folks and also like allies to kind of join and like ride, because I don't know if you know this, but cycling very often can seem like a sport or an activity that folks of color can't join into, because there's like barriers as far as cost, like if you see bikes that people are riding, they're like thousands of dollars, and so it almost seems like a sport that you can't enjoy at this level, because it's like hard to break into cost wise. And I think the goal of this group is to show folks that you could get a bike, even if it was just like a steel bike that you bought on Facebook, and join this group and have a great time, And so anyway, fast forward 4 years later, like we still commit to riding like on Sundays. Now we ride with another group that's all women, and we collaborate very often. And I'm telling you, like it's crazy. I went from riding 5 miles with this guy to riding like 60 miles with these people on a given day, and everyone has their issues, but I think the cycling kind of helps heal them in a strange way. And so anyway, fast forward, now we're like on Instagram, over 1,000 followers, and people just looking forward to riding or relieving stress on a Sunday. I think I worked the best with my back against the wall, to be honest. And yeah, I think there was more pressure as I was coming up, like as a youngster. But I felt like through the experiences, things have gotten a little bit easier. I've learned to work with my community, all the different groups, and kind of help delegate some of those tasks so that's not as overwhelming. But a lot of it really, to be honest, comes easier for me because I think naturally, like I am like more of like an outgoing person. And so like I get a high from seeing like the smiles on people's faces when we're gaming or for cycling. And before I got into like fighting games, like I was like, playing Mario and playing Sonic, and I would say my first fighting game was like the Mortal Kombat series. And so, I'd been playing that for like a while. So I think naturally I'd been a gamer since like a young kid. And it was just like my experiences in that like barbershop that I grew up in that kind of got me locked into like the fighting game world. But I think I'd always been a gamer like since birth. I actually started playing this game during the like Tekken 2 series. So this is going way back. I probably was like 10 years old, to be honest. I had a mentor at the time, so he was actively like playing the game, and I had picked it up like in like a local barbershop and fell in love with it. And I would say probably I started getting competitive during Tekken 6. So, I'm saying definitely more than 20 years for sure. Yeah, it was like, probably even like before the internet, like you would go into a barbershop and you'd wait, for like your specific barber, for instance. And I think during like that downtime is when you would try to find things to entertain or ways to entertain. So we always had like the TV up and maybe the news or the sports was playing, I think at the time, but this was like era before even smartphones. And so like, I think games was another way to entertain customers coming in. And so it was like the barbers, if they had downtime or they weren't cutting hair, they'd load up the game and they might play games with each other, or they might play with their customers as well. And some folks would walk in and they'd be like, "Oh, I recognize Street Fighter. Oh, I recognize Tekken. I can beat you. I'm getting in. Let's first to 5 or whatever. And then time would pass. It would get competitive, and before you know it, you're getting your hair cut and you're out. And so it kind of that collaboration, I think was great. And not only was it beneficial for like the people there, but also I think for the customers coming in, kind of kept them coming back too. With fighting games, it can be a mixture of different things. It can be get a little too competitive. Some folks can get a little toxic. Some folks might want a money match, but other than that, like it was all smiles. That barbershop also was like kind of like in the heart of the city, and so it was like very Caribbean based too. I didn't mention it before, but that shop was owned by my dad, and so he came from the island of Trinidad, and a lot of his customer base, I think they were also like from the islands too. So it was a lot of different accents, but all like competitively like playing games.
Is this the shop that you ended up owning now?
Yes.
Or?
It's this year will be 13 years since I've had it, which is crazy. It's been an experience for sure, because I think when I first took the barbershop over, I was 22, and it wasn't something that was like in the cards for me. But circumstances happened, and I had to step up, like for the family. And so that experience was traumatic in some instances, because I'm like 22 and there's already a staff of people like there looking at me for new leadership, and everyone's older than me, so they're like, "Who's this kid?" You know what I mean? So lots of like challenges in that sense with trying to like assert some kind of like leadership or dominance, so folks can like have faith in like my knowledge and my skill set, and that came over time through trials and tribulations. When you own anything, whether it's real estate or business, or things happen, things break, and so like in those scenarios, I had to be the one to kind of step up and fast forward, I feel like I've like learned a lot. I've taken that shop and I've given it its own. I can see a lot of that shop, and I can also see like myself in it. Like before, it was missing. It had a few issues. I would say like the wait times were a big problem, and anywhere in America, like you make someone wait, it's going to be an issue. And so I had problems to solve. I really took that shop and went digital. Created a brand, went online, started booking appointments online. And I've gotten really good feedback from customers since then. And to add to that, the shop is in an area that's like predominantly diverse. There's a lot of minorities that are there from different islands as well. And I felt like it was important for like us to kind of model what we see in different shops, like on Newberry Street, and so like kind of bringing some of that over to Mattapan, I think was monumental. Yeah, in the world that I grew up in, it's so interesting because we came from a space where we are playing Tekken, like we're transitioning out of like arcade scene, and that dynamic was different, right? Like I think that space, when we had it in the past, it was competitive, it was toxic, it was all these things, right? Because you go in there, you got money on the line, you put your coins up, and like you're competing, and then that kind of transitioned out. We saw arcades start to die down. We saw like the rise in online gameplay, and like more like offline meetups. Like we tried to still embrace the offline meetups, and so it's just like interesting to kind of see like how things have transitioned with like the times. Yeah. I want to say that like before me, there was like already a Tekken community, and there are a few notable people like, my mentor, like One Deadly Venom, and a crew of his friends like Latif Headstomp and Ryan Truman, and a bunch of people. Like they were already playing the game before me, Mandarin and all these guys, right? I think that at the time I came on board and met Nick, we just wanted to brand it, and like show the world like what we were doing. And when we started, it was like Tekken Zaibatsu. Anybody in Boston play Tekken, all right, cool. Let's meet and let's play at my house or whatever. We had no venues. We had no balance patch. There was no ASG. There was probably, there might have been a game underground, but at our age, like we didn't have cars yet. We weren't driving out there yet, So, it was almost like kind of like the bike thing. Like it started with like two guys because, some of the older veterans, got families, had kids, things like that. And so like they were playing the game less, but it was two more hungry guys that were, itching to compete and play. This is Nick and I. And then from there we started recruiting, more people would see us playing this game, and I would kind of reach out to them and say, hey, we're playing on this day or whatever. And, I would host. I love hosting, right? So, and we kind of grew in that way, so I've seen many faces, playing this game. And so fast forward now to see a community of 400, 500 players, definitely like 40 or 50 people that's super active right now in all of these different spaces in Boston, playing in different regions. You know, it's crazy to witness. Crazy to witness. Yeah, first and foremost, ODV, One Deadly Venom, like, you know, that's the guy that got me into playing this game in the first place. So big shout outs to him and like the whole old school crew at this point. So, you know, Head Stomp and, oh my gosh, Hayden, you know, there was Ryan Truman, like these guys are like monumental in like crafting like the player that I am today for sure. You know, of course, big shout outs to Off in Bed, Nick De Jesus, that's my best friend. And, you know, I think without us meeting, which was thanks to ODV, none of this would have been possible, you know? And so really big shout outs to him. You know, the gaming space also was like so like male dominated. So I have a lot of love and appreciation for folks like Jamera Queen, for you, and like all the female gamers also that compete here in this space as well, because it takes bravery too, you know, because like in any kind of male dominated space, you don't know what kind of male you're going to get, you know what I'm saying? And so like what you had mentioned earlier too about, you know, the community being, holding people accountable, and staying like positive, I think is so important. I love playing Nick Off in Bed. Like that guy always keeps me on my toes. Can you imagine? Like I've been playing him competitively for at least over 10 years for sure since we met, and the meta in that matchup just doesn't make sense anymore at this point because of like decisions that we make like in the set. So I feel like I'm always constantly being challenged by him, and he's really good at also giving feedback as well, with hopes that I come back with new things that challenge him. So that's great. I also really enjoy fighting like the River Street crew, you know, so Effect, I love fighting Hot Like Fire, Malik. You know, those guys, when they first came on board, like I was smacking them guys, smacking them up. And they all can admit that, you know, and they kept coming back for more. I'm like, these guys are crazy, you know, like they're just like, hey, what you doing? Let's get games. And they'd come right to the house and they'd keep playing. And all I gotta say is look at them now. Like these dudes they always have me on my toes, like no matter what. And it pisses me off. It does, but there are some really good players. There's so many I can mention too. Like, you know, throughout the course of Tekken 7 and Tekken 8 now, like we've seen the rise in power with so many stars, you know, Baby Jason and Sloth. Now we got Chase on the rise and Arid on the rise, and so many like key players that are challenging us in many different ways. And, you know, the list goes on. I could name off so many people. Nick and I have traveled across the nation competing in like tournaments for a long time. And we've been privileged enough to meet a lot of players that are now like top level players. I'm talking Cuddlecore, I'm talking Anakin. Like we have like Speed Kicks. We have strong relationships with these people because we watch them grow into the players that they are today. And I say all that to say, like, we have traveled to different states, you know, and some places are luckier than others in the sense that some have a community and some don't. Atlanta has a strong community. California has a strong community. New York has a strong community. But then there are other places where there are nothing. There's like a few notable players, but they don't always come together. So, you know, with that understanding, like we came back and realized like how important it is to kind of build that, because if you do have those communities, the chances of you rising to stardom and being a strong player greatly increases. And you know, it's like the places that we go to Balance Patch, All Systems Go, Game Underground, like the places that we go to, I think have a very strong like presence in like how we become better players, you know? And I think us just showing up to the events, competing with each other, sharing knowledge, sharing tech, and being like consistent has been the reason why we've become such a stronger community. You know, it's just like us just showing up to the plate and competing and training and practicing every week. And it feels like everyone in the community has that like yearn, you know, like not only are they competitive, but they also have that yearn to get better. I've seen some failures, you know, like in New York, no shade, you know, there's definitely like some people that I've almost been like exiled in a sense, you know, and there's cliques in a lot of places. Not to say that we don't have cliques in Boston, but like a lot of folks in these areas don't connect the way we connect. And so I think that, and I love that we connect, you know, even if there's egos, and because this is a game that's competitive, there's egos no matter what. Some people want to hide their techniques and stuff because they want to win tournaments, and I feel like there's less of that here, which I think makes us stronger collectively. If it's all up here and I'm not sharing that with others, I'm not really doing my part, you know. The goal is to share knowledge with others with the hopes that someone comes back and challenges you in a way that you haven't been challenged before. And that's how you grow. Henry Tapia, man. Henny, he was, that's a special dude, man. He lives right here. And, you know, if I were to sum him up in a nutshell, it would be that he's just a passionate dude who was, I think, in some cases, like very misunderstood. And I don't know if I fully understood him, you know, but like I tried anyway because I saw the light in him. And, you know, like I could tell this story. I probably told it a few times already, but like I met him at Game Underground. I think it was Nick and I, like in our journey of like growing like the Boston Tekken scene. It was myself and Nick and Detox, who was Sean at the time, and a few others. And I think we'd heard about Game Underground and we all carpooled and we were going out there. For us, like Waltham at the time was a far hike because we were just like Boston kids, you know, and it was like, damn, we're going all the way to Waltham to compete. Like, all right, guess so. That's where we're going. You know, that's how hungry we were at the time. So we went out there and Henny just happened to be there. I don't know if he went for Tekken or what game he went for, but he was like a fighting game guy in general. And I'm telling you, like the dude just walked up to us. He's like, yo, play Tekken. And I'm like, this dude, who's this dude? He's going to beat me up like at this point, you know what I'm saying? Because he was tall and he was a little strong and you know what I'm saying? It was a little bit intimidating, right? But anyway, he really just wanted to play games and I think we were playing and we beat him up, you know what I'm saying? Like we beat him up. But I think that like sparked him, right? Because he probably thought he was the best in Boston and probably was spewing that all throughout Game Underground until we showed up and showed him what's up. And that's how we became friends, to be honest. And, you know, him growing up, I think was probably rough, right? It was different. Like, I don't think he grew up in a two-family household and whatever. So he's seen some things, been through some things, got locked up a few times. And I think our bond really started to solidify while he was away. You know, like I actually used to write him, you know, because I knew he was so passionate about Tekken. And sometimes when you get put away, like people forget about you. You know what I mean? And I didn't forget about him. Like I used to write him, you know, just every now and then, like I'd, you know, take a few minutes out of my day to just kind of write a handwritten letter, you know, or I would share Paul Phoenix frame data with him, you know, like for every iteration of Tekken we were playing, like he appreciated those things. And in return, like he used to draw. And so he used to like draw like my favorite character, you know, like he might draw Kazuya at the time or Devil Jin, whatever, or draw Paul or something like that, you know, and he was passionate even when he was away. He came out and I feel like I got his loyalty forever, since then, because I think he just never forgot that, like, someone was thinking about him while he was away. And of course, like, loved Tekken, so he came out, playing like hardcore. He was kind of a hard guy to train because he just didn't listen all the time, But fast forward, the dude loved Paul so much. That dude loved Paul so much, and so a lot of those like mannerisms of Paul I used to see in Henny as well. So like overall, just like a really fun guy, like to be around, loud and obnoxious, but like also like caring and loving. And I know he's probably watching Tekken 8 right now and being like, "What the hell is this?" But he would have liked Paul because Paul got that good energy in this series for sure. Like he has a lot of personality in this game. So yeah, I think like his presence will live on through Boston Tekken like forever. And he touched a lot of people in negative and positive ways, But I think a lot of people will remember him in a positive light for what he's done, like for the community as a whole. So it's been cool. It's been good. There's a walk that we go to every year in I think the town that he was living at the time, and also the place that I think he was murdered. And so we do a walk for him and his son and his like family like every year. We kind of pay tribute to like his legacy. As far as like Tekken goes, like I feel like I carry on and preach a lot of his like sayings, so everyone is always screaming out bad, or F Danny, like all those things were him. Like he started all of those things. And so myself and also I think the scene, they still embrace a lot of those sayings of Henny. And so those things I think live on and continue to live on for sure. Every day I walk up my stairs, like I have a picture of like him, like in my home, you know what I mean? And so like everyone gets to see him. So I think he kind of lives on through there. And then like in my visor, I have a picture of him too. He also had like a great relationship with like my family too. So my sister and my mom, like they were all very close to him. So, we pour one out for him, I think, every Thanksgiving, because he actually used to spend a lot of Thanksgivings with me. Because I don't think he had a pretty big family, but I don't think he was close with them as much as he was close to like the Boston Tekken community. So lots of Thanksgivings and like holidays we'd spend together. So I always pour one out for him,
And I guess now what I want to say is like you're about to have a kid.
Oh, crazy. Crazy.
How do you feel about being a new dad soon? Speaking of families of your own.
Yeah, it's emotional. Definitely. It wasn't in the cards. Like if I had a kid or if I didn't, like I was indifferent, I would say. But
it's okay. Take your time.
yeah, I'm scared, probably excited, like all of everything. And I don't know, still processing it. It's a good thing, definitely a good thing, but
It is scary.
yeah, it's scary.
Very scary.
And I don't know. Probably doesn't help that I came here from a funeral, so I'm like witnessing death and then also life, It's just the world's a crazy place, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's gonna be so lucky. She has, first and foremost, like my wife is amazing. Justine is amazing. So she's gonna have an amazing mom, and she's gonna live in a very nice place, I'm very lucky, I wish that, of course, like, Henny, and I wish he was around,
Yeah.
so we could meet her, But yeah, I'm excited. I am. I got 2 months left. August is like around the corner, So I always get choked up, I think, talking about her because I never thought it was in the cards with me, you know. So I'm nervous, excited, like, so I'm emotional. I'm very emotional, for sure. I was with her. She's not born yet, right? But, you know, I feel her kicking and moving now, you know. And so I feel like I'm starting to build a connection, you know, because, like, I'm speaking and she's, like, hitting the belly, and I'm just like, no friggin' way is this real, you know? I'm not ready for her birth, to be honest, because I'm going to be a wreck. But I'm excited for it, for sure. I think it's important as people, right? Like, we want to, people might not realize this, but, like, I think that we're not designed to be alone. And I think that it's important to be around community. And so, like, immediately that might be like your family. And then as you get older, you start realizing that an extension to that can be friends who then become your family. And in many cases, sometimes those friends become closer than your own family. And so, like, you know, I would say that, you know, in whatever hobby it is that you choose to do that you love, you know, try to find a community, like a good community within it, and, like, embrace it, because it's like the best joy that you can get, like, as a human being. You know, like Tekken, even if I were to stop playing it to this day, like, I still feel like I would enjoy being around the Boston Tekken community as a whole, because they're like family to me, you know? Same thing with, like, the cycling groups, you know, like, those people are like family to me. Just an extension of more family. And so, I don't know, I think, like, my legacy is to kind of push that for others, to find that, you know, because I know people are suffering, and sometimes a lot of people suffer in silence and they don't have to. Yeah. I love what you're doing, because it was something that I think we started doing, but we haven't been doing a great job at broadcasting, and it was something that I'm happy someone took the lead on. So thank you so much, for real, because people do know about Boston Tekken and StillElectric and Off in Bed and all of these folks, you know, but I feel like they don't know enough, and they could learn more about, like, this community. And hopefully one day it might inspire them to build a community of their own in a different state, you know? Because this is a great place, even for some of the players that come to visit, you know? Like, they know that they can find a home in Boston Tekken. Just like a lot of different scenes I've embraced, Nick and I and so many others, you know? I think that it's a powerful thing, and you're helping to, like, broadcast that and give us a voice. And that's great work. So thank you.